All right, so let's talk about some examples of internal controls now. We talked about the why we have internal controls. We talked about the principles of internal controls. Now let's talk about some examples of internal controls. And we're specifically right now we're going to look at internal controls for inventory. We talked about inventory last chapter, and it's important that we have inventories or internal controls for inventory. But let's talk about some specifics now. The most common one and the obvious one would be to take a physical count of inventory at least once a year. And what that does is it makes sure that nothing's happened, no funny business is happening with our inventory, nobody's stealing, nobody's breaking, and it also allows us to do our adjustment at the end of the year. So that's a pretty common one, pretty straightforward one. Internal controls when taking physical count. Now, in that we have internal controls to make sure that they're done well when we do physical counts. So one, we want to make sure that we use pre-numbered inventory tickets. Pre-numbered anything in accounting is very important because that allows us to create the paper trail we need to link things together. So the PO number to the receiving order number to the payables number, the check number, these are all numbers that we can link together. So pre-numbered is very big in accounting. Those that are responsible for the inventory are not the ones counting the inventory. If you're the warehouse manager, I don't want you to be the one counting up the inventory because your job is dependent on it, and I guarantee you're going to come back with what it needs to be, even if it's not right. It's, again, big conflict of interest, and I want to separate those two duties. So I want to make sure the person who's counting it is different from the one that has the custody of. And then finally, counters not only confirm the existence of the inventory, not only, yes, we have it, but also the amount and the quantity and the validity of it too. I want to make sure that what I'm saying is actually true. If I have, let's say I have a bunch of glass bottles that I'm going to fill up with something. If I have $1 million worth of glass bottles in my warehouse, that's great. But if they're in shards of glass, I may still have $1 million worth of glass shards, but they're not going to do anything for me. So I can't claim them as inventory. So not only do you want to make sure you have the inventory itself, but you want to make sure that it's usable, the quality's there, the amounts there, and so on and so forth. So those are just some examples, some very basic, very common examples of internal controls for inventory.